What's up? Hey, Peter. How are you? So, been working on a video all day today, and trying out my new microphone here, my SM7, which is not really, well, it's a new microphone I had a beat up one, but I took it out of the box, started using it yesterday. So I thought I would give you guys a chance to ask questions on here. I've had, I've been getting an insane amount of emails. You guys can't even, I'm sure you can probably imagine it, but I can't keep up with them. It's, and I appreciate it, a lot of the help from people, the offering. I mentioned one thing about not being able to find David Gilmour clips from the 70s and get 100 emails of that. People sending me the same clips. Anyways. Okay, so if I don't have any questions, then I'm going to talk here. But I'll wait, see if anyone comes up with anything. Okay. I know this is sorry about having to move it to today from Tuesday because I had a doctor's appointment on Tuesday. Why was my last live stream blocked by UMG? I think it was the one that I played, the Pat Metheny song in, and it got blocked. That's why. I got a really interesting email from somebody today about this exact thing. A guy named Hans writes me and talks about, there's an article in Vice, music theory professor just showed how stupid and broken copyright filters are. And they talk about Google's content ID as a result of more than $100 million in investment funds and countless development hours. Yet Geisler found the system was largely incapable of differentiating between copyrighted music and content in the public domain, and the appeals process that Google has erected to tackle these false claims wasn't any better. The guy's named Kaiser that was taught was he was this college professor in Germany. It says here's another thing. Another professor uploaded a 10-hour video of white noise, only to have it flagged 5 times for copyright infringement. Did you guys hear that? White noise. How important are lyrics to me? They're important to me. How do you quantify the importance of lyrics? As a producer, having good lyrics on a song that you're producing is extremely important. But I'll say this. You can have a hit song where people can't understand the lyrics and it can be a hit, but great lyrics will not make a song a hit. Does John Cage, the white noise, copyright? No, this guy literally put up white noise. I'd seen this story before. I'm talking like a white noise generator. Static. 10 hours of static, and he got 5 copyright infringement things. I was talking with Adam Neely the other day about this, and I asked him how many of his videos get flagged, and he says, told me a lot of them do. A lot of them get flagged. But apparently, you only get a copyright strike if you if you protest it. You write to YouTube, and they say, and you say that you own this. It actually has 2 different appeals, and you have to sign. It's official legal document when you go back and forth. There's one thing I could have protested. I got copyright infringement on the Parmalee track that I did. I mean, I've gotten copyright infringement on other things, and I know people like Nare. She has had it on when she's performed Bach pieces. They credit it to other people. I mean, she's doing a live performance of something, and she gets a copyright strike against her. Because the sound triggers the thing, that it's the same notes. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? So there you go. The only thing that can be done is you can get blanket is to get licenses for songs. Some people are able to do it. I'm not sure how, but big companies can do it. If if it's Rolling Stone and they do an article or something and they use content from YouTube, or if a big YouTuber can get the rights to something, it makes it easier when you have a lot of subscribers, millions typically. And if you're just doing one song and you go ahead of time and you contact the people that own the sound, the sound recording, the labels, and talk to them, and you can get the rights for that. So it's really hindering education on YouTube, no question about it. Absolutely no question about it. The thing I can't figure out is why a radio station can play things. I mean, I don't understand what the difference is. Let's say I wanted to do a show on YouTube, a radio show, right? Why not? What's the difference between a radio show, if I were to play things on here and be a DJ and play, and what would be the difference and comment on them? There is no difference. There is no difference. You have to have a license. Or maybe you don't. I don't know. Let's see. Rose says here, you've gotten copyright notices on student performances of classical music on a private channel. I know, it's ridiculous. It's completely absurd. So, and there's no way around. There's no way around it. Something interesting though. The video I'm working on for today is Simon and Garfunkel, and it's a video on the sound of silence, which I played on my live channel at night a couple weeks ago. And that song is actually available for use, which is unbelievable. And I found another song that's available for use that I've wanted to do, which is Born to Run, Springsteen. It is available to use. It can't be monetized. I mean, I wouldn't monetize it anyways, but I'm doing a video on the sound of silence, which used to be called the Sounds of Silence. And there's a lot of interesting things I've learned while making the video that I think you'll find fascinating. I learned about the songs, really specific things I had no idea about the producer, about how it was done, about how Simon and Garfunkel broke up before the after they released the song, and it wasn't the Wrecking Crew, Peter. It was the producer. His name was Tom Wilson. And it's fascinating because he's an African-American producer in the 60s that produced Bob Dylan, Simon and Garfunkel, Frank Zappa. Amazing. I mean, think about this. In the 60s, with what was going on in the United States, you had an African-American that was producing these predominantly white groups that were, huge stars. And I just think it's so interesting. So interesting. And he did the overdubs on the track. Actually, the track that became the single. So he had produced the record, and he took I'll tell the story, but you'll once you see it and hear it, it'll dawn on you how this was done. And the version that's the big hit has him playing on it, but he basically overdubbed to the 2-track of them playing and singing together. So it's interesting. But yeah, so I'm doing that. That'll be out later this afternoon or this evening. Trying to think what else. What else? So I'm working on a video. I put a piece of it up on my Instagram, and it's a video that shows how to combine a lot of the elements that I've talked about in the past, and how to connect a lot of the ideas when I did all the scale videos. Connecting things like using chord progressions that are diatonic, that may have chromatic medium modulations, things like that, or connecting different modal sounds, and how to write within those parameters, and what kind of how to use voice leading to connect these ideas. So I had done a couple videos. I did a video with Nare where I did the double harmonic major scale, and I went in descending order from one scale to the next and made a continuous piece. It's called the Modes of the Darkest Scale Ever, that video. And I went in descending. To not use the same notes. So I'm using multiple key centers from each mode. So I'd go down a half step or a whole step depending on whether that next note was in the scale or not. So if I'm descending and there's a major seventh in the scale, I would go down a whole step. So it'd be a flat seventh. So it would be from a different key. So that was so that's kind of the thing that I'm doing is that I can play you some of it here. I just have the first part of it. Let's see if I can find it. I think this is it here. Let's see here. See if this loads. Okay, here we go. Not sure this is going to play here, but it might. Okay, so one of the things here, so I'm essentially, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what, like right here is A flat Lydian, right? And C Aeolian. And then we go to E flat Mixolydian. Then do back to C Aeolian there. Okay, so this is that's just the beginning of the piece. But it's showing, what I'll do is I'll have the all the different tonal centers, modal tonal centers that I'm going through, and show how to write lines. I'll do things in the strings, I'll do things in the piano. I add some orchestration, but kind of show you how to use these devices harmonically, melodically, how you state these sounds. Like when I go to this E flat Mixolydian here, so you can hear there I've got the G and A flat together, and the E flat I've got E flat B and then G A flat. Oh, it sounds like I've got F G A flat there. So this is kind of this is going to be a video on how to connect these ideas. It's first of all, it's like, okay, I'm going to come up with a lot of times what I'll do is I'll come up with, you know, for this video, I'll say, okay, here are my tonal centers that I want to kind of hit upon. And I might have I might say, okay, I'm going to do, I did C Aeolian or A flat Lydian, C Aeolian, then, E flat Mixolydian. And then I might go through and I might take apart and I'll say, okay, now I'm going to start to use some more progression based. Maybe I'll do something with some bitonalism, and I use maybe particular progression of, bitonal chords, like, if I did something like this. Okay. Oh, boy. Okay. Wrong way with this damn thing here. Okay, so if I would do, were to do, even if I did something simple like that. So I'm going B flat over A, which is A Phrygian, to A flat leading augmented. Then you get D flat over G. Then you have would be D sharp over B, which would be B leading augmented. So, and I could go to A flat major add 9 over C. Now I could write lines that actually would state those chords without actually playing them. You could make it a contrapuntal section by the way that the chords are stated. They don't have to be played as block chords, where you could, you know, so if I were to do something like that, I'm starting on F sharp Aeolian or F sharp minor to F leading augmented to E over F major over E, which would be E Phrygian. What did I do? I forget it. E flat leading augmented. Then I did an A 13 flat 9, A flat 13 flat 9, or an F major over A flat. Then I go F sharp over C. Then I could go to A flat, or A flat over B, and so on and so forth, and connect those sounds either through lines or you have to see when I do the video, but and I would put those out. Write those down like a chart, but I'm improvising over the changes, but I'm finding a progression that to me, or at least broad strokes of melodic material, or at least harmonic material that I can develop motifs on, and will move in a particular direction that I think is interesting. So I think it's really important to be able to do things. There's a few composers that do this, and one person in particular is Thomas Newman that I love, that is really, really good at this. He is one of the few that understands. He does a lot of line writing, but he understands kind of how these tonics work together. How to use this, and he writes lines in that way, and he writes melodies using that. But it's really no different than writing a progression. You know, if I play, hold on, yeah. So if I have a cool thing there, A flat minor 11 to D7 sharp 9 sharp 5 to E minor 9 11. Now that is a great sound right there, that progression. Now, how are those chords related? Well, this is a 2-5. That would be 2-5-1, right? Or you could do 2-5-1, or you could do 2-5. Now, why does that sound great? Well, it's It's because of the relationship between these two chords here. This is the passing chord that confuses the ear momentarily, or actually goes to a predictable spot because that's a dominant chord, altered dominant. But this really softens that. Even that is a great chord change there, that key change, and it's done because of the leading tone between those two. You don't have to put E in the bass. You could put, you could put a, I could go G major 7 sharp 11, right? But that's not as interesting because this, since the G is in a common tone with the E minor 911, it doesn't sound as good, whereas the A flat is not in this key, right? So I have the G there, so I've got, so that's all done with voice leading there. This chord here, that could be that too. But I don't think I don't think the root movement is as interesting. That's not good root movement. It's good root movement. Right? But this chord there could be this. That's a nice movement too. I've got this would be an F sharp sus4 over A sharp. Could be if you think of this as altered dominant, be B flat altered to D flat altered to E minor 911, but this same that. What's nice about this is, once again, that B flat is not contained in this chord. So you have all that half step motion there. But those are the things that you should be looking for, though, is to try and find those relationships between keys like that are unusual. Once you find something like that too, so if you assume that this is a Dorian chord, and you assume this could be would be Dorian, so A flat Dorian to E Dorian. So A flat Dorian is from G flat major, E Dorian is from D major. So you essentially have, well, you hear that, right? You have that third related, right? So because of that, if I use those parent key centers, G flat major, D major, I take a sound out of there, Dorian out of both, or I could take Phrygian out of one and then Dorian out of the next. If I took Phrygian out of this, it'd be built off the third. off the third of the chord. So it could be something like this. So that would be this. It's a great sound there. Great sound. That's from using, just pulling a mode out of those two related key centers, D major or G flat major to D major, and taking a sound. I could have taken, I could take, if I think of this, I could take B Lydian and go B Lydian to E Dorian, right? And that gives you the same relationships, which is actually really cool sound. Same as okay. I could do Mixolydian. I could do D flat Mixolydian. So those modulations between modal groups there are really, really cool. Any interesting key relationships that you have with one another can be expanded upon by taking any one of the 7 modes that come from those keys, and they don't have to be in the major key. They can be in melodic minor, and you can find relationships between them that sound good, and then use those in your writing when you're trying to find something unexpected to play or to write, where it surprises the listener's ear. You're playing something that's like, oh, whoa, what is that? Wow, that's cool. And that's a really quick way to find those kind of things. And if you know your voice leading, and you can think of these right off the top of your head, you know, if you know that the Lydian chord, if you play a Lydian chord going to an Aeolian a fifth below, you're going to get that kind of a sound. Or a Phrygian chord going to a tritone away to a Dorian chord. Come up with a lot of really interesting ideas. Let's see, Roe King. Those 3 chords sound like a question, diffusion, and unexpected answer. There you go. Exactly, right? So that's what that video is going to be about. It's going to be about, and I'll show in the bottom corner what the key centers are, and then I'll do an explainer about kind of how I came up with these things. Difference between Aeolian and melodic minor descending, how to contextualize this. Okay, so Aeolian is melodic minor descending. Melodic minor descending, there is no such thing as melodic minor descending. Melodic minor descending is Aeolian. Okay, so there's no need to be confused about that. And you should really only think of the melodic minor in the ascending form, meaning ascending and descending the same thing with the raised 6th and the raised 7th, flatted 3rd, right? So you should only think of that up and down the same way. The other thing is Aeolian, completely different scale, completely different sound, and not really useful for this unless you're writing Baroque music. If you're looking to go Baroque, then write some music like that, and you won't make any money on it. So that was a pretty bad Rick joke there. Sorry, my kids would make fun of me for that. Any questions? Can you use a melodic minor against a dominant? Yes, there's three melodic minors that work against dominant chords. I should say that there's three dominant chords in a melodic minor scale. There's a chord built off the 4th degree, off the 5th degree, and off the 7th degree. So if you have a G melodic minor scale, off the 4th degree, you have a dominant 7 with a sharp 11. You have one off the 5th degree, which would be which would have the 6th in it, the flat 6th, Mixolydian flat 6, and then you have one built off the 7th degree, which would be altered dominant. Okay, so the melodic minor scale has 3 dominant 7th chords in it. The one built off the 7th degree is what I call a hidden enharmonic, or a hidden dominant. And it's a hidden dominant because it has the altered dominant scale has a flat 4. 1, flat 2, flat 3, flat 4. Well, if I take that as the root, the flat 4, oh, you're doing Baroque analysis now. Okay, well, there you go. Then it's important to understand the difference between them. But the flat 4 is actually a major third to the ear. Then sharp 4. So 1, flat 2, flat 3, or 1, flat 9, sharp 9, major third. Sharp 4, sharp 5, dominant 7 or flat 7. Flat 7, sharp 5, sharp 11, third, flat third, and then the flat 9. So all those tensions are in there, but with the 7th degree having the hidden dominant chord with a flat 4, which actually to the ear functions as a third. Any questions? You tried music for a living and went Baroque? I got an email from, I'm trying to, for any of you people that are over 50 years old or so, I'm doing an interview next week with Jay Graydon, who's a great guitar player and producer. He did, he played the solo on Peg from Steely Dan. How many of you know that solo? Anybody know that? He also produced some of George Benson's huge records. He had a bunch of big hit records as a producer in the 80s in R&B. And although Jay stays up all night, he was interesting. He was talking about, he just emailed me. I hadn't talked to him in a long time. And he was telling me that he developed perfect pitch out of the blue. He's 68. He developed perfect pitch. He has some brain lesions that caused him to develop perfect pitch at age 68, and it lasted for 2 months and then went away. But he said those 2 months were amazing. His brain was rewiring itself, but he stays up all night. I'm not sure why, but that's when he does his work. He gets up at 9 at night. He lives in LA and goes to bed at 6 in the morning. So I have to figure out when I'm going to do the interview with them. He proposed a couple times, but yeah, I've been wanting to interview him. He'll talk about this. He's pretty open. He'll talk about the session, about when he went in to play on Peg, because it's really interesting. He talks about Gary Katz, who was the producer, and I'll get him to tell the story kind of as it was. So I think it's good to kind of immortalize these things, because that solo is still played on the radio all the time. And that's an amazingly good solo. It's totally hip and a weird solo. But those of you that don't know, go listen to Steely Dan Peg. It was one of their biggest songs, and the guitar solo in there is incredibly good. And that's Jay Graydon playing. So, all right, so that's it. You guys are the best. If you want to send in questions, you can email them to me through Flat5. Questions for the live stream. How many of you got a chance to watch the video that I put out yesterday? If you haven't, you should check it out. I put out another video yesterday, lesson 7, I think it was. And I have a PDF to go with that too. Also, I put out the string arrangement to Drops of Jupiter, the Paul Buckmaster. We have a piano reduction of it that I did for that Carol did actually for my train video. And it's really, really great. Why was I banned the other night? Because I played a Matheny. I played something from ECM. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. We're working on it, though. We're working on it. It's not going to be easy. That content ID match thing is tough. But some of the artists, like Tool, I did the Tool video, and they posted it. This is the way it should be, and they are smart, which is why they still have a massively big fan base. Tool... put it on their Facebook page, put my video, my What Makes Us Sound Great, which has got over 100,000 views in a couple days, so which is excellent. 2 days. That's really good. Anyways, all right, guys. We'll talk later, okay?